In this next installation of our virtual workshop, we will learn how to make this adorable Funfold gift card holder using our DSP and Flirty Flamingo cardstock. Welcome to Tailor Made with Nancy. I'm Nancy Taylor. I'm an independent Stampin Up demonstrator, and I designed a series of video tutorials featuring the Playing in the Rain, Cling stamp set, and coordinating die set. You can find out more information about the products featured in these videos on pages 50 and 51 of the mini catalog. Many of you already know that at the end of this month, the mini catalog will retire. You will no longer be able to purchase the stamps and dies as a bundle. The Raindrops embossing folder will still be available, but unfortunately, the Designer Series paper is no longer being sold. You can still purchase the Loose Daisy embellishments. In today's video, we're going to work with our specialty Designer Series paper to create a really cool Funfold card featuring our fox. What is really cool about this card is it has a little spot where you can put a gift card. The sentiment I'm using is Hello Sunshine, and I'll show you the set that comes from, but you can use any sentiment you want, or you can use no sentiments at all. Another variation of this card that I use, also featuring our DSP and the die set, features our bunny cut directly from the DSP, and it also is a Funfold that has the little space to put a gift card. So you can choose to make it any way you wish. If you would like to make it with the turtle, who those of you who have been following the series know is my favorite of all the critters, then you could, of course, also use the turtle. But today we're going to give the fox a little bit of attention. I haven't really featured him. And I also just wanted to take a minute to show you that there are so many beautiful cards you can make with the DSP. And I just think these prints look really, really beautiful together. For those of you who subscribed to my virtual workshop and selected this card, you should have received a kit with all of the supplies needed to make it. I still do have a limited number of these kits available. If you're interested, you can find me on Pinterest, on Blogger, and on YouTube, which you know because you're watching me on YouTube, at Tailor Made with Nancy, and also on Gmail. So the paper that we're going to use for this tutorial are the Umbrella DSP. We're also going to use what I've come to call the Neon Rain DSP, and the other options are blue and gray. So this is our cheerful rain. And finally, we're going to use our floral DSP. So let's take a look at the dimensions for this card. And I'll give you a moment to write those down in case you would like to. If you're following along with the kit, then everything is already cut to size. But I will go through each of the cuts for those of you who are crafting along at home from scratch. So the first thing you want to do is take a piece of Flirty Flamingo cardstock and position it on the cutter on the short edge and cut it at 4 1/4 so that you have a 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece of Flirty Flamingo. Next, we will need a 4-inch by 4-inch piece of Mango Melody cardstock. Okay. Now, we're going to cut our Rainbow Umbrella DSP. So we're actually going to cut this 3 ticks shy of 4 inches. On both sides. And you may want to look and see where that comes to. Make sure that you have the part of the paper that you like the best. If you are looking for a specific umbrella to appear on the card, you may want to cut it a different way to see, which gives you the better cut. Because I don't know about you, but I love all of the umbrellas, and I try to do whatever I can to keep as many of them showing as I can. So that's the one I'm going to go with. And you'll see that will, oops, I forgot about that extra 0.3, sorry. That extra 3 ticks, let's take that off. Okay, so you'll see that will line up really nicely on our mango melody. Give it just a little bit of a border. Okay, we're gonna set that aside. The next thing we're gonna do is, let's go back to our master list, is we're going to take a piece of basic white and we're gonna cut that at 4 inches and 3 ticks shy of 5.5. So that's gonna be what goes inside of our card. And we've got a little bit of a unique measurement there, given that it's a Funfold card. So let's get our white, our basic white. And we're gonna cut that. I like to start the long edge first. So we're gonna go 3 ticks shy of 5.5. So that's where my washi tape is. 3 ticks shy. By 4 inches. Okay. Next, we're going to get a 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch piece of Balmy Blue. And we're actually going to be using the Balmy Blue to make a circle that we're going to put behind our critter. So that is 2.5 inches on both sides. And that's just about right for fitting our die. We'll save the die cutting till the end. First, let's do the cuts. You're gonna want the DSP to be running straight up and down. So that's how we're gonna cut, so that it is 1 inch thick and 4 inches long. Oh. That's my scoring blade. Okay, so we've got our first piece. And then let's do the same thing with our floral piece. 1 inch by 4 inches. And it looks like we're done with our cutter, so I can move this to the side. Now we can start the basics of assembling our card before we get to our critter. So go ahead and decide what type of adhesive you're going to use. Glue is probably the most forgiving if you're a beginner stamper. We also have our Stampin' Seal, and I use an old school Stampin' Up Tombow adhesive, which is what I'm going to use today. So the first thing you're going to do is we want to put just a little bit of adhesive on the sides so that we're able to put our gift card in there. So go ahead and just put a little bit of adhesive on the edges of both sides and then press that down. That'll ensure you get a nice strong seal. You could also use tear and tape if you have that, but either way, this should be plenty strong to be able to hold a gift card or whatever it is that you want to put in there. It's one of our other critters from the DSP, who definitely doesn't get enough attention. So now while we have that down, let's go ahead and use our floral paper. So go ahead and put some adhesive on the back of the paper. And then we're going to position that over our folded edge. And you want to leave just a little bit of a border. And our grid paper is one of those things that really helps for you to kind of figure out where you want to position things. If you line it up on your grid paper, that will help you get an idea as to what is centered. Sometimes you can see that there's one box on each side or one box top and bottom, but it's just a good product that just helps you if you're very type A like me and you want to really make sure it's centered. That can really help you. And when you like where it is, go ahead and do the same thing, press it down. Next, we're going to put our white piece in. So let's take our white piece. We're going to go ahead and put adhesive on the back. I like to put one on each side. And we're going to position it, again, centered on the right side of our card. as best as we can. And when you like where it is, go ahead and press it down. Okay. Next, we're going to take that strip of rain, the neon rain, and we're going to put our adhesive on the back. And we're going to do the same thing. This time, we're going to try to leave a little bit of a white edge on the side. If you don't want the white edge, that's fine. I like to keep it a little skinny just to give it that layered look. I just think it looks nicer that way. And there you have it. We have the inside of our card. Now we can get to the front of our card. So first we're going to take our Mango Melody. I don't know about you guys, but I have been super sad that Mango Melody is going away. So I'm really glad that we get to use it. We get to use all of it up. Hopefully these card tutorials will help you find creative ways to use it. And we're going to take our adhesive and center it in the square on the left side of our card. Like that just a little bit. You want to be careful not to rip. Sometimes I try to fix things and I wish I had not. So since I got a little rough edge there, I might cover that up with an umbrella. Turn it this way. Sorry. Yesterday was my first in-person workshop, and we had a terrible rainstorm, which just made it seem very ironic that for the April Showers workshop and the Playing in the Rain set, we had a torrential downpour, and today I am losing my light because it is very gloomy out and possibly about to rain here in Northern Virginia. Okay, so next we're going to take our umbrella DSP and we're going to put adhesive on the back. Again, I just like to do the sides, but you can use more if you'd like to. If you like to put some in the center, that's fine. And we're going to go ahead and position that in the center, leaving a nice border all around it. Press it down when you like where it is. And we've already got most of our card assembled. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take our piece of Balmy Blue and we're going to find our die set. And the die set that we're going to be using today is the Stylus Shapes dies. And this is one of the sets that are typically offered with our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It has a lot of really great dies in different shapes. And the die that we're going to use is the 4th from the center, which will perfectly fit on our 3x3 piece of Balmy Blue. 2.5 by 2.5. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run that through my die machine and I'll be right back. And for those of you crafting along, we're going to use 1, 2, and 3 on our machine. If you want to take your design up a notch, you can consider running this through the Raindrops embossing folder, but since so much of it is going to be covered, I'm going to go ahead and leave it as it is. So next we're going to stamp our fox. Now some of you may have seen some really cute cards on the internet that have the fox using pumpkin pie. I tend to like to use the fox with our Cajun Craze, which is the color that is featured in the Sweet collection. So we're going to start by stamping our fox in Memento black ink. I like to always make sure it's nice and inky before I stamp with it. And I like to use my foam mat just to get a nice fresh image. It comes very dark. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp towards the bottom so that I can use the rest of this paper for another project. Beautiful. And let's go ahead and close our ink. And now we're going to color. So if you'd like to use pumpkin pie, I recommend starting with the light color for this one. For those of you not familiar with our blends, these are alcohol markers that come in sets of 2 with a light color and a dark color that are used to blend together. Because this is a pretty dark color, I'm only going to use the light color for our fox. You can choose to do both. They have a bulleted edge, which a lot of people like for smaller, fine details, and a long edge, which just has a really smooth, beautiful finish. And this is the edge I prefer to use. So recommend that you start just a little bit under the nose, leave a little bit of white space there, and then come down and outline the rest of his face and up and around his collar to the back of the head, under his hat, and then shade all of that in just quickly. When you're using blends, you want to balance getting precise movements in there, but you also want to go quickly if you're going to use the two colors together so that you can blend them before they dry. I am only going to use the one color, but I'm going to show you a trick using our color lifter to give a little bit of dimension to our fox. So I'm going to just paint his tail at the bottom. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to get that little area under the bridge of his nose. You can already see it's looking a little bit lighter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our color lifter. This is something that not only is great for fixing mistakes, but it's also great for adding some dimension. So if you go ahead and take it and kind of just brush up from the tip of his nose, you'll see that it will start to take some of the color out. And if you want to put a little bit towards the tail, it kind of gives almost like hair, like a little bit of like thinning out. And you could use it as much or as little as you like. Maybe you don't like how that looks. I think it looks cute, so that's how I'm going to leave mine. Next, we're going to go ahead and decide what color rain outfit we want our fox to wear. I tend to like our dark Daffodil Delight for his jacket. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my long edge, and I'm going to start up here and go around underneath his collar, down the side of his jacket. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with his hat. Oh, and I always forget his ear. So let's go back in with our light Cajun Grays and make sure we get his ears. You might have forgotten his little hands. That's what I usually forget. But go ahead and get his ears and his hands if you didn't already do that. And then if you want to take your light Daffodil Delight, you can go back in, kind of give it a little bit of shading. Maybe just a little bit on the side. I think that looks good. Next, we're going to use our Flirty Flamingo blends. I like to start by outlining the edges with my dark. Okay. Then I go back in with my light on the long end, and I kind of blend it. Fill it in, but I also blend. And I go back and I do those inside pieces. Maybe put a little at the top, like a shadow. And then I go one more time with my light, and you'll know that the more you do this, the more it will blend, but the darker it'll be. So if you don't want yours to be this dark, you don't have to go in as many times. Just basically, I recommend going in as many times as makes you happy. It's not like the markers we used as kids where the more you colored on something, it would start ripping the paper. These markers are great, and I've never had that experience. So next, we're going to die cut our fox with the coordinating die. So for this, we're going to use 1, 2, and 3. And as you can see, it fits beautifully over our image. You kind of have to wiggle these around a little bit depending on where you want the white space to go. If you would like to use a little bit of washi tape, that can help hold your critter in place before you run him through the machine. So I'll be right back. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take our balmy blue circle and we're going to figure out where we want to put it on this paper. Where is it that is going to be the least in the way of the umbrellas? If you want to, like I said, if you want to try something different, I'm going to put it in the middle just because that's where I want it to be. I want it to be symmetrical. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our fox and we're going to pop him up on dimensionals. And so for him, I like to use 3 dimensionals, 1 on the umbrella, 1 on the face, and 1 on his legs. And again, just kind of figure out where you want him to go. This is where you might be able to have some creativity to kind of hide. So like see right here, I've got the handle of the umbrella. I don't really want the handle of the umbrella there, so I can kind of creatively position him so that his legs cover. And there you go. Now, one of the options for this card is you can add a sentiment if you'd like to add a sentiment, or you can also add an umbrella. The sentiment that I used for this card was Hello Sunshine, which comes from a retired set. So you can basically take a piece of scrap paper and go ahead and find the small square on the Stylish Shapes set. I used the littlest square. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and run this through our die machine. Our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It's a mouthful, but it's an awesome machine. If you do not have one, I highly recommend that you invest in one. You will not be sorry for going with the bigger machine. I know I've never regretted it. Okay. So we have our little square, and let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment. As I mentioned, I chose my sentiment from a retired set called Special Moments. It says Hello Sunshine. If you have a sentiment that says something along the lines of for a rainy day, I thought that would be really cool. I really wish I had a sentiment that said that, because I think for a card like this where there's a gift card aspect to it, or if you want to just stick a little note in there or something special, I think it'd be kind of cute if you were sending a gift card and the card itself indicated that you were sending something for a rainy day. So we're going to go ahead and use our Flirty Flamingo ink. This is a photopolymer stamp. You can look right through it and make sure that it is inked all the way. And then go ahead and stamp our sentiment. There we go. So for the umbrella, you can stamp and color in your umbrella, or you can use the die to cut the same umbrella as appears on the stamps right from the DSP. Or you can fussy cut like I did. When I designed this, I definitely went through different variations, but over time, the more I have gotten to know the set, I found little things that just, I love having, sorry about the camera. I like having different options. And so if you don't like that umbrella, if you want to do something a little different, you know, these designs are a starting point. They're just what I like. But there's many different things that you can do. For fussy cutting, I always like to have a small piece. I like to try to keep it moving. I always try to err on the side of leaving more white space because I can always go back in. Once you cut off too much though, there's really not a lot you can do. Try to round that edge just a little bit more. Okay, we have our little umbrella. For this card, I had a different cut of paper, so it made sense to put my sentiment right here. For this card, I don't have any umbrellas here. I just have a handle. I'm actually going to put my sentiment on this side. So you're going to take your adhesive, put a little bit of glue or tape runner right in the middle, and figure out where you want to put your sentiment. I'm going to try to leave a little bit. Just hide that thing and try to get it lined up with my paper. Okay, press that down. And then if you want to use your umbrella, you can go ahead and add it wherever makes sense to you. Lots of different options on where you can put it. I'll go ahead and kind of put it over here. Choose a little glue, or if you have fine tip glue, this is one of our product offerings that I also highly recommend. It is so easy to use. It is so forgiving. Go ahead and just put a little bit. It actually has this awesome metal tip that keeps your glue from drying out. You just have to line them back up. And there you go. Just twist it right back on. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put this on our card, wherever you want to put it. Hold it down for a second so it stays down. And there you go. Whether you colored in your fox or you used a die cut of our bunny or some other critter, I hope you enjoyed making this card with me. If you decide to purchase any of the items featured in today's workshop, please consider using my host code and supporting my business. If not, either way, I'll hopefully see you back here again next time. Thanks.